Boy, they're packed in there tonight.
Oh, wow.
Uh-oh, what happened? I clicked it off.
They see you.
No.
There you go. You all right there?
Gotta go up here, Karen.
Oh, because it just had audio right there.
That's the microphone, not the speakers.
Mhm. I'm glad to see everybody showed up. So I'm going to just turn this right over to Mike Werner and his associates for their presentation and kind of let us know what's going on with the mining.
No mining yet.
Well, with the plan of mining.
So I'm Mike Werner, and I brought my associates with me. Marcus Tuller is the chairman of our company. Steve Wood next to him is the president of Sumpter Development. And next to him was hopefully we could talk him into building the mine for us. That's Ben Werner, my son. And I'm gonna bring him on simply because then I know who to kill when it doesn't work the way it should. And all of these things, when I went to school, they taught me how to do public speaking, and I don't think I got a very good grade, but they said you need to tell a story first, so I got to tell a mining story. So the story's told when we went through the old historic data up here is that there were 3 prospectors who came in here first. And they got together, they decided they were gonna be partners, all 3 of them, they were gonna go find some gold, and so they got together. And the first question in business was, who was gonna be the cook? And they said, well, we're gonna take turns, and they said, okay, but how are we gonna decide who takes over after the first person cooks? And he says, well, when anybody complains about the food, that's who the new cook's gonna be. So they start going through the process. The first guy starts and he cooks and he cooks and he says, I'm getting tired of this. Nobody's complaining about my food. So he says, I know how to solve the problem. I'm gonna dump a bunch of salt in the pancakes tomorrow morning. And so he did. He put a liberal amount in, and the first guy takes a bite of that, the first prospector, and he takes a big bite of that and says, damn, this is salty. And he smiles and says, but just the way I like it. It's a good story. So I am gonna tell you a little bit about myself. If I'm lucky, I'm gonna be an absentee person. You're not gonna see a lot of me. And the reason is I'm gonna make Ben build the mine. I've got to teach him all that I've learned over 40 years of mining. And I haven't been everywhere in the world, but I've been some places that most people haven't been. I've been far enough into China that they came to see us because we were white. That's how deep I've been into China. But it wasn't mining. We were trying to build power stations up there and they were happy to let us do it if we could have. I was 2 years or too early though. They made it a part of the World Trade Organization 2 years later. So I had lots of deals but couldn't get it financed. Another story. So I actually grew up in a community much like Baker City. My first job was 12 years old as a farmhand. And the good news is I was this size at 12 years old. The bad news is I didn't grow any after that. So I learned the hard way how to work, and from the fields I went into the mines. I graduated from high school in what we call the Silver Valley. So I graduated from high school on a Wednesday, and the next morning at 7:30 in the morning, I was 6,900 feet underground. 4 months later, I was the youngest contract miner in the deepest lead zinc mine in the world. Unfortunately, about 2 weeks after that, I lost my first partner in a mining accident. So I've started at the very bottom. I put myself through university. I could go to work in the mines back in the day, and I could buy a new used car. New to me, they call it now. I could buy a new used car and put myself through school every year by just working through the summer. And spring break and winter break, but I mean, that's not hard. Made a lot of money. In 1981, I was a contract shaft miner down in New Mexico. I worked on a 30-foot shaft about the size of this room. I was making $61,000 in 1981 as a miner. That's about $250,000 of the base money. So mining has treated me really, really, really well. And along the way, I got a BS and a master's degree in mining engineering and a PhD in mining and metallurgical engineering. So I've done the work and learned very quickly that this little body is not made to work real hard. And so 2 back surgeries later and bilateral carpal tunnel surgery, I was smart enough to get a degree and do it a little easier. I told you, oh, by the way, I have a formal announcement to make. It is tip season, people. The last week when we went everywhere, we didn't have any tick problems and we found our first one. So tomorrow's tea tree day. So cautionary statement. So anything I say, take it for in a grain of salt. But mine is a hole in the ground owned by a liar. Reported as that said by Mark Schwinn. There are holes up there. Your determination over the next while, whether I'm a liar or not. I'll leave it up to you to decide with that. The positive outlook of this though is some see things as they are and ask why. Others see things that never were and ask why not. Does anybody know who said that? Yeah, Kennedy, absolutely. Right, man. So to prove that I'm not really all a liar, these two pictures are probably 3 years old, and I still can run a jack leg. I certainly don't want to do it very often. And if I run it one day, that for the next week I'm hobbled up a bit. But this is a picture of your native town, a little up the road. I'm guessing that skull that's sitting there, the wood on top of that are no longer there, but it came off between last May and this May. But that thing going across, there's a stall. I can't tell you how many of those I put in stopes about that wide. But we found a nail in there that we believe was made before 1950. So we don't know when this was mined, but it would have been some of the first mining there. And beware, we know lots of people visit the property. Welcome to it. Just don't fall in the hole. And that hole you can go into. There aren't a lot of them up there you can go into, but that one you can. This is another picture. That was the hanging wall vein. This is the intermediate vein. No, that's sorry. This is the same one, just a little bit further back. The length of that stall was what they were mining in the day that they were mining that. I didn't get close enough to see if they're a good timberman or not. The way you can tell if it's a good timberman is whether or not he put his wedges next to the rock. If he did, he wasn't. If he didn't, he was. More of the same. So in this area, there's 3 zones. There's a hanging wall, footwall, and intermediate zone. So on the Columbia side of our project, we control 5 kilometers, 3 miles. And on the Columbia side, it splays like this. So there's different zones. On the other side, it's more of a constant vein. It's all the same structure. It's all the same thing. It's identical what they mined almost 100 years ago. Typical timbering. This is as good as you're going to see in this part in this part. That if you've all been up to see, that's the E&E stamp mill. We are wondering whether we have water rights up there or not, and the answer is I have not seen the piece of paper that say we do. I would bet an awful lot of money that we have water rights. The little cut on the right of that foundation, if you've been up there, you'll see that there's a water wheel in there. And that water wheel ran the big wooden flywheel at the end of the stamp mill. So I'm guessing that there's water rights up there. If you've been here long enough, somebody can tell me if they had a Pelton well for Bourne or not. We think we found a foundation where they were making water power for the early days of Bourne. Not seeing any documentation on that. That is the E&E shaft. It goes down 750 feet. It's in the middle of the vein. So to the south of that is the Eureka. Then the next one is the Tabor fraction. The following one is the Columbia Mill area. To the north of that is the Excelsior and the North Pole. We do not need any of the shafts for production. We're going to do everything with rubber tire equipment. If we need these shafts, I'll probably do for ventilation. In 1981 or two, AMAX rehabilitated this shaft to about 450 feet. This shaft goes down 750 feet, as does the one on the other end at the Columbia. Ironically, the old timers did an awful lot of development off the shafts, particularly on this shaft that was never mined. Lots of sampling, lots of great metal grades, but no mining. Having said that, the old timers put 0.6 ounces per ton through their mills, and we're going to plan on anything better than 0.3 being really nice. They got 60% recovery, and we're projecting 94.8. So, difference in the technology of the day. This is the very tallest adit of the North Pole. You can still get into it. Recommend you don't do that. But that chute right there it's got to be at least 100 years old. That's how the old timers would have done it. Most of the ground in all of the project is collapsed. The old timers went down the vein. That was the cheapest way to do it. That's the way they did it in the old days because they couldn't afford to do anything different. Everything was rail bound. That was the challenge AMAX had, trying to get back in the old veins on rail. We don't have to do that. We can go around, we can go up, we can go down, we can go anywhere we want. And most of the ground is not good except in the footwall, which is where we're going to put a lot of our development. So this is the tunnel going in. This is in waste. This is not a North Drive. At the very end of that is where the ore vein cross cuts this adit goes up. This I love to show, one because I love mining history, but just to give people an understanding of what we're doing. I don't think there's more than 4 square inches of ground that we're going to disturb that hasn't already been disturbed. As we walked across this project, particularly in the last couple of weeks, it is astounding how much work has gone on in this part of the world. So if you go from Fruit Creek in front of where the old Columbia Mill was, clear up over the top of the North Point mine, you're going to see workings everywhere. Yeah, they did a lot of work. Now imagine you did this in the late 1800s when you brought it in on a mule, or you probably put it that or in a way. You didn't drive this in a truck. And when you look at the foundation that you can see there today, notice how little cement is there. Cement was a big ask. If you had cement in those days, you really, really wanted to have cement or you would use rock. Someday I'll tell you some really funny stories about underground mines with cement, but that's for another day. You can get an idea of what's there. This facility here with 100 ton a day, give or take a little bit, I could build a 2,000 ton a day mill in that same footprint. That's the difference in the technology, what they had to do versus what we will get to do. This is the service facility for the Columbia mine. So this is where the boiler, when you see the smokestacks, that's where the boiler would have been for the steam hoist. This is where the first tunnel would have been put into the hillside. The blacksmith shop would have been there. We were down here at your museum here beside the road, and you look at the cones, and I don't know how many of you are really, really old history buffs, but it looked like whoever got that gear in there, they were making brass bearings with it. And where I grew up, in the early days, they made brass bearings at the mine. You did not live in town and drive to work, you walked to work, and everything you did was built in the blacksmith shop. That is a picture of the same area, but now you're seeing the mill in the bottom. So our intent today, and the intentions are the way to create the outer darkness. We're gonna build our mill. And we're not gonna call it a mill, we're gonna call it a mineral separation plant because we're being very particular on what we call things. Because we're not gonna process any metals on site. We're gonna separate the minerals that we want from waste rock. And our separation plant will be on the middle left of this picture, and it'll cover about no more than 5 acres. And that will include a waste rock cement plant. Anything we put underground for backfill or anything we put in our waste rock impoundment will be cemented with about 8% cement. So in 24 to 48 hours, you could drive a vehicle on it. It's about 500 pounds per square inch, about a quarter of the strength of your sidewalks. So we have no tailings impoundment, we have no dams, we have all of our waters recirculated, we have no cyanide. The basement of the mill will be made so that if we lost every ounce of water that's going to be in the mill, and we will have fluid separation. If all of the chemicals in the mill fell at one time, if all of the material that's within the walls of the mill were lost at one time, it would all sit in the basement. It will be a truly zero discharge facility in regard to any fluids or chemicals. Our intent today is to use what's called the xanthate. Xanthate means minerals hydrophobic, afraid of water. And then we're going to use an industrial soap called a frother. It makes big bubbles. By the way, that was learned by washing miners' pants. They figured that all the metals went to the bubbles. Now we just use industrial strength bubble makers. That'll be scraped off of flotation cells, so it'll just bubble to the top. It'll be scraped off. We'll put it through a belt filter. It'll dry it out to about 9% moisture, which is what a typical field runs. We'll put it in bags. We've got some of the picture well it's gonna look, and it'll go off the property. We are not processing any metals in the state of Oregon. We'll close up with the Columbia service facilities. I think I'm gonna go back. Now, the big dump that you have there, that is likely not waste rock according to the definition that we've determined. The miners, again, were putting 0.6 ounces per ton through the mill. My guess is a lot of that has metal in it. Do we know that? No, we do not. And we're gonna find out though, because when we have to move it to make it look nice up there, we're gonna put it in 30-ton trucks. We'll sample every truckload. We'll pilot, mark it, and then when we know whether it's ore or waste, we'll treat it accordingly. That is your steam hoist from the Columbia. Has the sign right over here on the right of it. That is a beautiful piece of work. Those were hard to come by. I'm not gonna bore you with all of the details. It tells you how many acres we hold up there. Again, if you have questions about that kind of stuff, we can talk about it. But, you know, it's the kind of things that for you, it's really unimportant. For people who want to invest in our mining scheme, that's important for them. But the reality is we're gonna have a modern mill. It's gonna cover about 5 acres. It's gonna be hid by trees. Are you gonna know we're mining up there? Yeah, you will. We're gonna put a box cut in, so you will see it. That'll be reclaimed when we're all done. All of the portals will be reclaimed when we're done. But you're gonna have to look hard to see what we're up to. Production in the past, about 525,000 ounces. We've in the days that the Columbia and the E&E mills were built, those were 4 different companies, and sometimes you could call it 5 if you call the paper fraction a separate company. They put a shaft in it, but I don't think they were running ore out of it. All those are all together under one umbrella now. It's argillite ore. What does that mean to you? It means you've got beautiful rock to have a mine in. If you go up there and look at any of the portals, there's 2 or 3 that have discharge out of them. And they've been going through the broken rock of the stopes for 100 years. And that water's as clear as can be. And the beauty of it is the wall rock is what we call basic, which means it's not an acid. It'll actually take an acid and turn it into a neutralized material. I can't ask for a better opportunity from an environmental standpoint over the 90s. So what we're working on is the old AMAX work. That's one of the reasons we're able to come in is big companies don't like to work on historical work. I'm not sure why. One day in 2000, the work that AMAX done would have been just fine. On the next day, they put in a new law that said it couldn't be used. Do we know what's there? let me just give you an example of the endowment that's there for your understanding. You know, somebody's gonna ask me, well, how long is it gonna be there? I don't know. I'm confident I won't be on the earth any longer when that happens. But in 1968 and 69, a company called Omega Mines came in and they went in on the Excelsior #1 level, which is if you're going up the Cracker Creek and you hit the deposit, it's off to the right. They went to the end of that and they drove 1,500 foot of solid drift down the ore and it averaged 0.35 ounces per ton. No drilling in it. They just went in and did 1,500 foot of drifting. That's how probable mineralization is here in this mine that we are controlling right now. That's significant. Usually you have to drill and find and look around, and I've worked in mines where you'd shoot around and you'd find ore in it, the next round wouldn't have anything in it. They did 1,500 foot, it was all there. So we are entering into this prospect assuming, based upon our technical knowledge, that there's 1.2 million tons of material left. That's about 10 years of life at the rates that we're going to do it. And then if you look at all the material around it, including at depth where there are drill holes, there's no reason to believe that, well, the geologists are looking at this, so there's somewhere around 1 million ounces that they can believe this there. Is it there? I'm happy with 372,000 ounces, and I'm gonna let Young Vandy worry about anything beyond that. Our development concept is we're gonna come in and you're gonna use a low impact milling facility. We're gonna be small. The beauty of narrow vein is you don't have big stuff running around. I managed a mine in Australia called the Leinster Nickel Mine. We ran 50-ton trucks underground. You could take a dump truck or a concrete truck. You could drive it right underground. We did our shotcreting that way. We didn't put in special shotcrete batch machines. We took dump concrete trucks underground. That's the size of a big one. This one's gonna be a baby. It's gonna have the equipment in the stopes are gonna be 48 inches wide. And if you're going footwall where we're gonna drive our development, they're gonna be just a hair bigger than that. So this is small gear. It's not gonna be the big stuff. What else do we want to tell you about? Recovery is 93.8, 300 tons a day. Again, zero water discharge, cemented waste rock impoundment, both surface and underground. For you in this community, the budget is going to be $45 million a year. That's just a 300 ton a day. Mining's expensive, which is why a lot of people won't do it. Of that 45 million, a rule of thumb will be that half of that is labor, including their benefits, and the other half is going to be materials. For communities, the beautiful thing about mining is like a war; it all gets used up. You don't recycle what you put in the ground. And so when you talk about that kind of money, it's not a recirculating thing. It's not like building an apartment building where you spend it 1 year and you get rent for the next 20 or 30 years. Every year you go through that. That's a long section of the mine that just shows you, the only thing we don't control today is the workings on the left-hand side. That's the Velconda, that is the Velconda. And do we have anybody here from the Velconda group? We don't want to tell you, but we have workings over underneath your ground, but I didn't do it. And you have your own shaft. So yeah, the old timers went over there. But as far as I know, they didn't do any scoping on that side of the creek. But that runs from Fruit Creek on the south, through Cracker Creek and clear up to the top of the ridge on the north. And it's as straight as my nose. I had surgery on my nose, so it's really straight. So those colors on there mean nothing to you other than that's where we've identified where they were off of the old AMAX workings. So proven, probable, and inferred. Inferred means knowledgeable technical people believe it's there. That's what a 300 ton a day mill looks like. The thing up in the top is a tailings impoundment. That's a dry stack tailings impoundment. There's no water in it either. Ours will be like that, and we will put cement with it as well. And there's a safety reason to that because we're going to be going underneath. Our waste rock impoundment will be mined underneath. So that's a 300 ton a day mill. Typical trucks you'll find on a mine. I'm hoping you don't find any of those on our mine because we want to get these. Same difference, 8-wheel drive. For those who are car nuts, Mercedes-Benz engine in it. So we'll probably use either Scania trucks out of Europe or MAN trucks out of Europe. Why? Because they're eight-wheel drives, they're articulated both from axle steer, and we're in a country where you have lots of snow, as you know.
Yeah.
That's what our concentrate's gonna look like when it sits on the truck headed for either Nevada or overseas. You notice you don't see any gold. And if you look in those bags, you wouldn't see any gold in there, but it'll be there. We'll run about every one of those bags will carry about 5 ounces per ton of gold. Don't worry about stealing them because you have to process it and you don't have that capability. But those bags are coming from the Golden Chest mine in northern Idaho. So a gentleman, my mentor, Fred Brackenbush, opened that mine a number of years ago and he went through a lot of hard times. But he finished building the mill and I don't know how many millions of dollars it's worth, but he's worth a lot of money now. He deserves it. But that's why they do. They do the same thing we're gonna do, and they found it to be very advantageous. That's the inside of a 300-ton a day mallet. And that's what ours will look like. It'll be very clean, very straightforward. It will have a grinding circuit in it. We'll separate the mineral by flotation. All of the chemicals will be recirculated. Water won't be getting out. It'll be real easy. That's what the portals will look like. I'm gonna ask Ben to make them nicer than that, but that's the size for a 300-ton a day operation. That hole right there will handle a 30-ton truck, which is a reasonably good sized truck, but we're gonna have relatively small here, but that's about the size of the opening we're gonna make for development. And the ore body is very small. It can get bigger, but it's our cutoff for width is 1.5 meters, which is just right at 5 feet. What we're gonna tell the GAMI on Thursday is that we're reopening 5 closed mines. We are not starting a mine. We are not asking for a permit to open a mine. We're asking for a permit to reopen 4 historic mines. And I'm not telling you we're gonna have a problem with the GAMI. It's just unique that we're doing what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And they have a procedure and a policy, and we're gonna ask them. I got an email from the GAMI the other day. They want me to start a baseline, and I'm thinking to myself, I wasn't alive in 1880, so I missed the baseline by a century or two. But we do have this property before our time here had a discharge permit, and they renewed the discharge permit, and those renewals had all of the water assays that were submitted to both the EPA and the GAMI. So we're hoping that they'll understand that there's nothing new to see here. All on private ground, very, very tight, no discharge. So if anything, it's gonna be trying to get them to understand that we're not a new mine with cyanide and tailings impoundments and all the typical stuff. So that's us. We don't have Ben on here yet. Disclaimer is, I gave the disclaimer first, I might be a liar. I'm available for questions. I didn't want to bore you any more than I'm told. Yes.
I assume you have to have electricity. What's your plan for electricity?
My smart ass answer is magic, but the reality is we're gonna buy it through the co-op and bring it up.
I talked to the co-op the other day at length. They said they had talked to you or someone from your company, and I said they're gonna provide 223 phase at the end of this existing open pit mining. And how you get it up there is your responsibility.
Well, we had that discussion and I think the first discussion was, we'll put your line up, and the second discussion is, if you want to put the line up, you go ahead. Ben's a certified lineman, and at the end of the line, the 3-phase line here is 25 kV line. It's not 240 volt, it's 25 kV 3-phase. And we're not confident that the co-op can bring enough power all the way up here. But we have some schemes that we'll work on that are just really straightforward. We're not worried about power.
But I also talked to the Forest Service, and they said they're not going over there. They for fire purposes, fire reasons.
Yeah, that's a discussion we'll have with the appropriate people. Our desire is to go overhead, like everything else in Baker County. The only buried cable I see is downtown Baker City. I see all of the co-op stuff overhead, so, if somebody has a reason.
The Forest Service reason was fire, so that was the.
Yeah, no.
Okay. So just one other question. I know that the property belonged to the Cracker Creek Gold Mining Corporation.
Still does.
So you're leasing it from them, or?
We have an option to purchase. And probably we'll hold that option to purchase until we get permitted.
I see. And your permit date is 2030? That's what you're expecting to use, food production.
I'm not gonna worry about it, cause I probably won't be on here by the time we need to worry about that. We'll let somebody else worry about it.
Thank you.
If we get this one permitted in a timely manner, there is no reason not to permit it. I can't see more permits in the future. I don't understand how we had a discharge permit that got not renewed. That's a wonder to me, that happened. Other questions? You guys are too easy.
Yeah.
Go ahead, please.
So on fire chief, city of Sumpter, the impact to town, how many employees? Housing, all that, drug test, I mean, there's a lot of questions. Because we're, law
We did the
enforcement is
drug test
30
before?
miles away. No, I did not go to test, but I sure don't wanna have to call the cops all the time, if, I don't know your amount of employees,
88.
88.
Maybe it's 89 tomorrow or 87. I don't know. But we're right now.
But you kind of.
Right now, we've done a plan that'll require 88 people. Well, our intent, every road to hell's intent, right? So our intent is to have 3 shifts, so 2 12-hour shifts, and with 2 crews on, 1 crew off. Are we gonna drug test? I don't know what the Oregon state laws are. I'm reasonably sure that if you're one of my employees and you have an accident, whether it's with equipment or personal or an injury, you're likely gonna get drug tested, but I'm saying that without looking through that right now. Are we gonna do it when they go on? In the old days, we used to do hair tests. Anybody know what a hair test is?
Yep,
If you want a drug test, you do a hair test.
that's.
The rest are just garbage, but
Yeah. Housing,
we're gonna let people find their own housing. It's our desire to get everyone we can from the local area. And the first thing usually people would ask after that is, well, where are your minors gonna come? The local area. If we get ladies and boys who are hard workers, no matter what their age is, I can train them to mine in 2 to 3 months.
Oh, you didn't go find the 88 people or something that want.
Maybe in the summer, but not in the winter.
And I'm not sure by law I can specify that they have to be from Sumpter or for a specific religion, but we're gonna get them as close as they want to come, as long as they're willing to work hard. The good news is they aren't gonna have to work as hard as I did when I was a young man. This stuff's gonna be mechanized. We're gonna have single boom jumbos in the scopes, shooting 10-foot rounds instead of the old 6-foot jack legs. We're not gonna have, we're not planning on any timber because we're gonna work under cement. We're gonna take the backfill and we're gonna put 8% cement with it, put it back in and go underneath it, so we don't have to fight with the bad ground all the time. So this is gonna be easier than I did, and I learned in 3 or 4 months. So
with that many people, you'll have your own medics or that
We will
somebody on staff that is
the quick answer, we'll have first responders. But
of
we
your
will,
own,
what's that?
of your
Of
own.
our own.
Okay,
We will not put a crew underground without a first responder on every crew.
fire protection on your own.
We're gonna be insured, so we're gonna have to do whatever they tell us to do, but there's very little that we're gonna have that's gonna burn up. Your LHDs by law now have to have automatic fire suppression on them. Your mills have to be that way to get insurance, so are we concerned about it? No, we're not, because we've done this a lot all over.
So if there was an industrial shutdown, like there is for logging and that, are you guys under that same rule? Would you be shut down if there was absolutely no operation allowed for like logging and that?
Fire, he's talking about wildfire shutdowns.
But we'd have a problem with the smoke, not the fire. It's all the air goes back underground and you don't want smoke in your mine. So the answer to that is don't know, but if there's a fire close enough that we get smoke, we're not gonna be able to run. So we're assuming we're gonna run 360 days a year, are we? I think we're gonna try and get a little under that, because we're just gonna tell our workers, if you get the production that we've modeled, you're gonna get paid for it until you don't have to work beyond that.
Snow's gonna be slow, man.
With that,
The snow.
Yeah, what kind of snow removal going on then?
what we've assumed, we've tried not to burden the county, so we're gonna ask, and we don't have an approval yet. This is part of this process, including permitting. We're gonna ask the county for a cooperative agreement to allow us to take care of the road if we don't like the way they do it. And that will include removing snow. No, we're not afraid of snow. We just don't want you to drive your car up there in 6 inches of snow and get stuck. Don't worry about driving on it, we just don't want it to stop our people from in and out. So, I'm gonna have an 8-wheel drive truck up there, so you might want to consider what kind of roads I may really have, but we have to have maintained roads to haul trucks on.
Outside of, Winnemucca, Nevada, they bus
They did,
their employees from right outside of Winnemucca all the way to the mine. Are you gonna do that, or you're gonna have 80 vehicles going back and forth?
not all the time.
Of course not.
In Montana, what we did is we offered busing and nobody took it. I don't know what your people like are here. We don't have a problem busing, but our miners just didn't like to do that. They would carpool rather.
My nephew works out of the one in Montana and they have ride buses. Yeah,
Well, it's Stillwater, yeah.
yeah.
But Stillwater's gonna have an 80-passenger bus and they're running 2 hours away from town, not an hour. They're differences. Our Montana guys were out of Livingston going to Gardner. They all wanted to drive. So we offered advantage and no, thank you very much. But it's something we could consider if we actually could get people to ride it. Yeah.
Will you be under MSHA regulations?
Yes, we will. CFR 30, part 57.
I can only assume.
Yes. Thing to behold. And we're gonna have no expiration up here in the beginning, so we will be in our M-shop from the day we start construction. Yes,
Michael, can you speak to access and what we were talking about?
do you want access?
Well, just
I'm
people that,
being facetious. If you're a great ATVer here, we'd love to see you up there. And there's gonna be very few places you can't go when we operate. The Northport #1 portal is one of the places we will let you go, but you're gonna have a very confined area to go over. We're gonna build you a bridge over the Northport #1 tunnel. We'll probably have to put a sign on it like they do the county road, but you go right up over the top of the tunnel when we get it done and you'll drive down the next side of the road, but you can't go anywhere else because we're gonna have vehicles coming in and out of it. But the maximum places you're gonna worry about will be 2 things. One is the box cut where we're gonna put our waste rock back into. You'll have to go around that. We'll make sure to work with the Foresters who toured them with it today and they're happy to work with us. And the other one is the #1 tunnel that you're just not gonna be able to drive through there like you do now. Will you be able to get in and out there? Absolutely. We will probably put a gate on the road just to the east of the E&E stamp mill foundation so people can still go up and see the stamp mill. Isn't that beautiful? Love to see people do that for the next 100 years. I wish they hadn't heard the building down. It's just-
I know.
Yeah.
sad. Well, yeah. Yeah, it's gone. But they can still see the foundation. I wish they hadn't broken the paddle wheel, the flywheel, but it's gone. But sorry.
So what kind of traffic do you expect on Cracker Creek Road? I mean,
More,
like a daily basis,
more.
trucks and back and forth?
Well, the answer is I can't read the crystal ball, but from experience of using remote sites very similar to this one in Montana, the guys will find a way, the guys and the girls will find a way to get in there and carpool, because that's what they'll want to do. And by the way, if you think I'm sexist, I probably am, but the best operators I've ever worked with, the biggest equipment I get, I put women operators on to take care of it. My prejudice and life.
So we're gonna have 100 cars back and forth on Cracker Creek?
Well, you're gonna have 3 crews, so divide 88 by 3, and that's the maximum amount they'll be going up and down there. You're gonna have,
Plus you're gonna haul out your material and.
yeah, Bourne's gonna be affected the most, Bourne and the Fruit Creek Road.
Which is kind of sad, with orange that.
So you're gonna have, if they let me run 50-ton trucks, and I think they will because we're gonna maintain the road, then it's less trucks than if I do 30, but even at 30-ton trucks, you're tying 10 crossings down and 10 crossings up in 24 hours. What you haven't asked me, am I gonna put mag chloride on the road? And the answer is yes, if they'll let me. I don't like the dust.
Keep the
Yeah,
dust.
well, I'm a resident of Cracker Creek Road and I'm just kind of concerned about.
So we'll put, yeah, and you should be. We don't like going up there with our ATV to look at it. We're really dusty. And we
Just get a
got
side by
and we got
side.
the tip.
I wanna be a good neighbor to you, but I want you to be a good neighbor to me.
As a 6-second, which is why we would put mag chloride down and take care of it.
And follow the traffic laws, the speed limits. That would be one thing I would ask.
I saw the sheriff or somewhere. We're gonna put him in charge of that. Don't worry. So we'll put the signs up and we'll let him take care of that, but it's good business to obey the law, but.
But we don't have local, It's 45 minutes away. So That's my biggest concern is what have we thought about with that, the infrastructure of the town and law enforcement?
Again, I'm just gonna give you what my thoughts are off the cuff. I don't see us building any new houses for this mine. I think you're gonna find people will take up what you already have available or pull in a trailer or whatever. But imagine you just worked a 12-hour shift and even though it's gonna be mechanized, it's gonna be hard work. That's why we're gonna look for people that wanna work. But imagine you just got off a 12-hour shift. How much energy are you gonna have?
Enough to shoot off a gun from 11:30 to 1 o'clock.
Again, that's a sheriff's problem today. I don't have
Yeah.
on for but, we're getting local people that are more than likely not gonna live up here other than if they have a house or a family that they wanna get close to mine. So are they gonna go back on their 7 days off and be in Baker City? I don't know if they're shooting off guns in there. I haven't heard any yet. So,
You guys are gonna
I mean, there's always a problem. I mean, but our people are gonna be running expensive gear and we're gonna be in Ramshaw, section 57. CFR 30, section 57, and they're nasty people, the feds are. And so we don't want anybody to get hurt on our property. And if there are those kinds of people, we don't want to play. So I can't guarantee you anything. I'm just telling you what my experience has been. I mean, my guys in Montana, I can't remember any of them ever getting in trouble, but I'm sure they did a little bit.
So you won't do anything until you get permitted.
We cannot do anything until we're permitted.
Are you gonna replace the bridges?
No.
You don't need to?
No.
Okay.
Ironically, we had last Tuesday, 2 weeks ago today, we had a professional engineer come in and we looked at the 6-ton signs and if the county wants to leave them there, that's fine, but those are 50 to 100-ton bridges. And it appears, because they're all same design, just if you go to wide span, it's an 18-inch I-beam. If it's a short span, it's a 16. But our guess is they were all mandated for a certain weight. We don't know what that is yet. But to fix it, but according to us talking with the roadmaster, the fix, they're worried about seismic activity, and the fix for that's not hard. There is some rotting of the steel beams vertically to go down into the creek. Those aren't hard to change out either. And we're not gonna ask the county to fix the bridges because we have more of a liability than they do, to be honest. You take a ball mill across one of those, you lose it. You take a load of fuel across one of them and lose it. I got a lot more worries than the bridge.
Yeah,
So we're gonna work on the bridges and that bring them back to whatever their design capacity. But it's not a hard ask. It's just some work.
And then, once you get started breaking ground, what's your construction time? You know,
Knock on wood, I'll tell you what we can do and I'll tell you what we've scheduled. We can build a mill in 9 months. We're gonna schedule 12. And why we're building the mill, we're gonna do the underground development. We're gonna start out of 2 areas, the North Pole number 1, and it's in the footwall for 1,000 feet. And we'll just turn off it and go on next to the vein, probably another 2,500 feet. And then we'll do the same in the Excelsior. We're not gonna go down the old workings. We'll go next to them in the footwalls and they'll post rock and get to where we need to go.
how long do you plan the duration of this whole project? Mining everything?
My belief or my knowledge?
Both.
My knowledge is 10 years. My belief is 35 plus. I believe that the minute you turn on the switch, that mine will run for 35 years. Our economic evaluation to make sure we're doing the right things, you would have to have, to get to our model costs to make a reasonable investment, you'd have to have a catastrophic gold drop like the one they had in 1980, 1998. You'd have to move 25% of today's gold value to be at our economic model. You'd have to do another 25% to get to our break even. So as I said, I believe that when you turn this on, it's gonna run for a long time.
What kind of wage are you gonna pay the average worker?
A lot. They're gonna be good jobs. They're gonna be hard jobs. So imagine working 12 hours. And even though they're mechanized, they're gonna be hard. Driving a truck for us is gonna be challenging. I'm not gonna promise you this, but I think I've modeled $125,000 a year for our miners, the guys at the face drilling and blasting, and they'll have 45% burden over that, which means with 401ks and medical, dental, et cetera. Your fire chief asked about safety. If you work for us, you're gonna have to get a helicopter rescue license and we'll reimburse you for that. But we are not gonna risk our people getting an ambulance from the mine site to the town. They'll have air coverage. We'll just reimburse our employees and say, if you want to work for us, that's the condition, we will reimburse you. And as I said, we will have first responders.
So you're gonna build a helipad up there?
Yeah, we'll have it instrumented and marked. Those are very easy to do. Yes.
Estimated green line and getting started. I've watched big mines
Oh, man.
last, wait 5 years for permits in Oregon, so.
It sounded like you just gave me the answer. Yeah, the answer is we don't control the permitting, but this, I haven't found an easier environmentally less challenging operation in a long time. I mean, I've had some that don't discharge acid. I've never found one that had basic line well work. Don't have to have cyanide, I mean, are we gonna have chemicals? We're gonna have xanthate and propylene. No cyanide, no nasties. I could bring a lot of nasties in nobody would care about, but they could be as worse as cyanide, but we aren't using cyanide. We're not processing any mineral up there. There will be no mineral processing. We'll separate minerals and haul them away. So the answer is don't know. I hope it's not 5 years. I'm gonna lose focus and interest in about 2. You guys are nice. Gotta ask me some real hard questions. This is an easy mine, people. This is not brilliant. My experience is narrow vein mining. Have I done big stuff? Yes, I have, but I've done this. That's why I needed to come in. When I got the call, do you know the place? I said, yeah, I do.
So are you gonna set up kitchens and stuff up there for
No.
during the day? They all have back their own lunch?
Yes.
Better start selling packed lunches.
Yep.
I'm in the industry, so I feel that, make sure I have all that food available,
When we hopefully buy lots of food from you, we really do.
We
do too.
right?
In Australia, we had fly in and fly out, but we flew in and flew out on airplanes. And when you got there, you weren't going anywhere. So yeah, we provided food, but that is a nightmare.
Mhm.
If we were in Sweden, we'd have food underground and hot food for you underground, but we're not Sweden.
Wow. Wow.
In the Philippines, they'll just feed you the dog on the dump. That's not a lot.
No, I know.
That's not a lot. We're not in the Philippines, same. Great people, tough life.
When you're hauling the material out of here, they're gonna be transloaded in like paper, are you gonna utilize the rail system, or do you know yet?
Don't know yet, but my heart tells me anybody that drives by here headed back to the port to pick up the stuff made in China,
Yeah,
they're gonna wanna pick up our tote bags and take them back. That'd be my guess. So we'll get a contract, you know,
Right.
you get online and you find your truckers. Like I said, one day you'll get 2 trucks up there to bring them out, and the next day it'll be 1. That's the average. The other thing they'll be running up and down there all the time is we're gonna have to use between 20 and 50 tons of cement every day.
oh, gotcha.
Yeah, isn't that nice? I appreciate that. I haven't figured out yet, to be honest, whether it's easier to mix that with fly ash to make really good stuff or just take cement because it's so low. Don't know that yet.
Is any of
Will
that,
be available to the locals.
It's only gonna be 500 PSI stuff, so the answer, you're not gonna want it for your sidewalk.
I was thinking city sidewalk, that would be pretty cool.
In the old days, I actually I was on a shaft sinker on the silver shaft, but I took over development, just had that. So what they would do when they sank the shaft, they had to have specified concrete in, and if the truck was half empty, they'd take it down the road to one of the workers' houses. And we're not gonna have that. Our stuff is low grade. It's gonna be good for mining, but not much else.
So how often are you gonna bring in a visit? Tell us what your level of completion or how close you are to permitting, or are we gonna wait 5 years to hear from you again?
Or you can
I
be part of the community.
won't be a part of the community now because I don't.
You won't,
I don't-
you will.
Yeah. But
We'll break them
you
in.
just have to ask. I mean, having a captive audience to listen to me, I'm all for it. So just invite me back.
So do we go
Next time I'll
to
tell
Ben?
new stories. So,
So we go to Ben if there's problems with any of the miners?
I want Steve to give him your card and then you can call Steve in Coeur d'Alene. I don't want Ben answering the phone because he's gonna be too busy building stuff.
Oh,
We're leaving that.
But, you know, Mike made a good point.
You find it,
His name is.
After a couple hours, you really don't have the energy to be up to much, you're gonna, you're gonna
be wore out.
Sure, with that, it's, you're tired, I mean, and again, most of the workers will be on, working 1 week and they'll be off a week. So I can see if someone runs a ranch around here or helps their parents or their, their family farm, they would get mine for a week and go back and work on the farm for a week, so. The idea is, this is an area where there's a lot of hardworking people. And, so, might train them to be miners, and it's gonna be a very safe mine, so, I mean, I would have my own son working underground here, it's gonna be well run.
And when Steve says that though, you imagine taking a piece of gear and getting it on farmlands and loggers, if you make a mistake, it bites you.
Yeah.
That's why you get good people and you make sure that they're ready for the job. But there's 2 assets that are important. One is the goals here, and 2 is you got hardworking people.
Well, most of us are retired, I think, over here.
I was.
Yeah.
stress from that guy.
Is there any record of what the mining population was back when these mines were really going?
Lots.
Yeah, I was gonna say, your 80
It would-
people are not gonna be, to us, it seems overwhelming, but yeah, you look back in the old days and it took 10 people to 1.
Well, you had a schoolhouse at the Columbia, so, imagine.
Yeah, exactly.
And I mean, I grew up in a mining community, it was built about the same time as this was. And you didn't drive to work, you walked to work.
Yeah.
And everything was done by hand. The concrete that you saw in the mill up there is, they didn't bring cement in because it was hard. The rock was easier. Imagine that. You're putting a wall in your backyard and it's easier to get rock than it is to go to the store and get cement. That was what they existed in. In the early days of these mines, they would have what's called hand sealing, and someday we'll show you there's a rock up there just at the edge of where the Columbia Mill is, where they hand steel the rock and it's still there. And there were, 1/2-inch holes with a piece of steel. That's the old days.
We found some of those rods already.
Yeah. The spikes that are in the old foundation, the old ore bins are done in the blacksmith shop. And you can tell they were done in the blacksmith shop. I mean, those were the old days. Those were men and women.
Yeah.
They didn't let them in those days, but the reality is those were real men.
So are you gonna invite, different people in to see it as you're building it? Is there gonna be any type of show and tell type?
We've been showing and telling all week and I'm almost talked out. We'll bring in whoever we have to, but I'm not sure we're gonna have to move too many in.
Well, it's just keeping people interested. Into
Just
my-
ask Mayor Weiss to have us come back and work. I mean, I live in just south of Denver and I'm there because my daughter's husband is a resident. And they have 2 children and they need help. So that's why we're there. If I left in the morning from Denver, I could be in Sumpter by probably 3:00. So we're not
I
far.
could drive it
Yeah.
in 21 hours.
What's that?
I think we drove it in 21 hours.
No, there's a direct flight on United
Yeah.
from Denver here. It leaves at 6:00 in the morning and shows up at 9:00 in Boise and then it's a 3-hour drive. It's not far. So the answer is just invite us, we're back. I'll have new stories.
Yeah.
I'll tell you about a trip going gold I made looking at the money. All fun stuff.
Yeah, we've been in some lines, haven't we?
Any more questions or?
Arizona.
Nope, sounds like it's pretty much a wait and see.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not in our hands. If we had a permit tomorrow, 2 days from now, I'd be
Building.
starting to build a mill.
Why is it?
That's not real true because we've got the mill size. We need to get the construction drawings done. Do we know the equipment's going in? Yes, we do. Need to get the construction drawings done. So I'm not ready to build it other than if I had a permit, I'd be working really hard to get those things done overnight.
How long is it gonna take to get the permit?
Are they giving you any
Then
dates?
somebody asked that in the back and the answer is I don't have a good crystal ball. There should be a long time, but it may be. I don't control that. Just depends
Dragging
on
the feet.
how hard they get us.
We were able to get a mine up there fully MSHA compliant and dog be permitted within a year.
I'm hoping that's the same thing.
Yeah.
Ours is as clean a mine as you will ever find anywhere. Small footprint, et cetera, et cetera. So we're hoping it's that. We've said a year. We've said 2 years if they really hate us. But I don't know that.
Yeah. You haven't worked in Oregon.
What's that?
You haven't worked in the Oregon area at all?
I have not. And if I had to permit a real new mine here, I wouldn't be doing it in Oregon.
Yeah.
If it wasn't this mine in this location, with this groundwater, et cetera, I would not be doing it. I'm too old. I don't have enough time to wait.
Yeah. I'm to retire.
People are.
Did you bring a sample for us to see?
I have a piece of rock in the back of the car. You want to go grab it then?
Absolutely.
But I've mined millions of ounces of gold, and I've got 2 samples that you can actually see the gold in out of all those millions of ounces.
I know,
So-
I wanted to see
so-
those though.
I'm gonna show you the rock,
I see
and
that
you'll be able to
it's
figure
bigger.
out it's got gold in, and you'll never see the gold. Yes, what?
What are the
Wants to
factors
see if
that
this is
determine
bigger.
whether, the speed of permitting? What are the actual factors that determine the speed of permitting? Why is it gonna take 5 years?
I don't have a clue.
Oregon.
I've done everything technically that we can do to make sure everything's as benign as possible. You know, if we're in Nevada, I'd have a D11 up there pushing the hillside off. Why? Because there's lots of gold we're not gonna mine up there. We're gonna mine what we can mine and get permitted and make everybody happy. We're not gonna make everybody happy, as many people as possible.
But just to add on to Mike's comment is we've given a lot of thought because, you know, between the two of us, we've got over 50 years in mining. And permitting is a big risk. So we've had a look at this and everything from the design to the operation through, we've looked at it as, you know, Oregon is notoriously difficult to permit. So what do we do? How do we design this to make the permitting more straightforward? And as Mike's told you, we're not using cyanide or dangerous chemicals. We're zero discharge. We're not gonna have a tailings pond. After we mill the rock and separate the minerals, we mix cement and goes right back into the areas that we worked out. We're gonna cement back. We're gonna fill in the openings as we go with a little bit of swelling that'll have to maybe go in a valley. But, you know, it'll be, at the end, it'll be covered with grass. So, the state of Oregon and the government does have a duty to protect the, you know, the environmental health, the air and the water and the soil. And, you know, we're designing to make sure that we don't mess anything up. In fact, if anything, we'll probably improve, you know, a lot of those workings that are open and dangerous, and we should be able to, you know, close them off.
One of the first questions we asked Commissioner Whittam was, do you have a good feedlot around? Why? It makes grass grow on rock. If you've been up there, the area we're talking about was logged probably 20 years ago, and it's astounding how many trees have grown back up through all of that quote waste rock. If you'd have been a prospector 100 years ago, you'd have picked that rock up off the ground and you said there's mineral in that because it's way too heavy for quartzite. So there's quartz in it, but when I'm walking around it up and I'm not a geologist, you grab that and you know you got something more than quartzite in your hand. So you may never see the gold, but I can feel it. Not because I'm smart, I just feel it's how heavy it is. There's metal.
We've been doing it a long time, so you probably have that.
Too long. I was back in the day when you actually could shovel ore in your car.
Christina, I was gonna ask you, how involved is the county commission, and is there any way to support and help get their permitting process expedited at all?
So anything that they're requesting, we're trying to get to it. With Donnie can speak to this as well, but we have not seen them come together with this committee that they're bringing in. Thursday morning, Dogami will be here. We're 100% in. We're a mining district. Yeah, and why not? We think it's gonna be good for this community and the county.
County economy, yeah.
And it's just, it is amazing. We've dealt with Dogami before and we've never had them call up and just say, hey, we're gonna put together a committee. We're gonna be there. Look forward to seeing you on Thursday. So we're hoping that it's gonna go fairly quick for them. Don, is there anything else on?
No, that's the truth there.
Yeah.
This is the first time they've ever asked for a permitting committee to be put together from the county.
Right. We met with Michael and Steve a year ago, and so here we are, you know, it's still going, but it's still moving forward, so.
Right. Good.
Whatever we can do to support.
So if you wanna know how benign it is, ask Donnie. She's seen it. She's seen the water coming out of the portals.
You're
Yes,
gonna run into other minerals up there besides gold.
yes.
Are you going to be able to utilize those minerals and extract them and market them?
No. The good news is there are other minerals. We are gonna separate because of those minerals.
Uh-huh.
And those minerals are gonna go somewhere else outside of the state of Oregon. What the refiner does with all of those minerals is up to them.
Okay.
One of those minerals is a strategic mineral. But from a personal standpoint, I'm happy to let somebody else have it, so.
Yeah, cause you got about 6 or 8 different minerals up there.
And those are the ones we're gonna capture. The good news is the gold goes with them. And then the refiner will have to decide how he wants to separate that out.
Okay,
Yeah,
that answered a major question.
yeah, no mineral processing, no mineral refining in the state of Oregon. Everything leaves. We are simply separating minerals from waste rock and we're taking the minerals out. And the minerals are gonna come because they're all associated together. We're gonna make them all hydrophobic. We're gonna put a frother on them and bubble them to the top and scrape them off home down the road. We're gonna get as much water out as we can because we have to pay for it, right?
It's all, we're all crushing the whole.
We'll have a crusher up there and then we'll have a grinder. We'll have a 500 horsepower ball mill sitting in the middle. The picture I showed you, that's the size of the mill we're gonna have. So it's really a simple process. It's really very straightforward. With that?
I haven't changed much in 100 years, so.
Well, it has. That's one of the reasons it all went away up there is they didn't have ball mills. You've got a small ball mill down here, but before that was all stamp mills. And those were better than an Arista. And you have an Arista down here. Do you guys know what an Arista is?
Mhm.
That's old school. I've never seen an Arista that was made out of metal like this one here. I've seen stone. I've never seen a stone actually.
There's one cool ball mill out there on Sawmill Gulch.
I think somebody has,
All it's a-
I think somebody has one in their yard here in Sumpter. I didn't get close enough.
On the street.
Yeah, I think you have a baby ball mill.
Not at mine, on
But there's a new ball mill.
So yeah, the balls actually, they call it a grinding mill, and that's some grinding, but proper ball mills, they take the ball and they lift it up on the side and throw it back down and not work. It is a ball, it'll probably be 3-inch balls and 1-inch balls in there.
Okay, anything else? I mean, we don't wanna take all the evening.
I could talk all night. See that.
Okay, okay, then. Yeah, but keep on asking.
Or however the distance, you'll hear that noise then.
And we will have you come back, I'm sure.
Whenever you'd like.
I make one point
Yeah,
about the
you go
ball
ahead.
mill. It's gonna be enclosed in the building, an insulated building, so you can work in the winter, and that will definitely sound. You're not gonna just hear a roar here. The working's underground, you won't hear, so.
We won't see.
As far as noise pollution, maybe from the increased traffic, which we'll try and manage, it's really not gonna change much. In fact, the alluvial miners who are moving the creek beds, they make a lot more impact, a lot more noise than we all, so. Yeah, it should not affect the quality. I thought that then there's gonna be, 80 to 100 people here making good money and they may choose to spend it in the community and, if they don't wanna drive, an hour to work, maybe they'll find a place here.
But when they go to Cracker Creek, they will go on a mag chloride road unless they hunt pot, which we can't do it. If they can't use mag chloride, they'll tell us what we can use to get the best samples of it.
They gonna be hauling at night also?
24/7, 360 days a year.
Make sure they watch for the elk and deer, they're suicidal.
We don't want to see them on the side of the road.
New Mexico, we do that.
Yeah, I guess our snowmobile trail goes away.
Oh, yeah.
So that night, they are-
Must have been one of the.
Thank you.
Maybe in the winter time,